Somewhere deep in the ancient hills, there existed a village so welcoming, so warm, so generous to every stranger who passed through, that travelers would travel miles just to experience their hospitality. But here is what nobody told those travelers. Every single one of them was never seen again, and the villagers smiled every time another stranger walked through their gates. Before we begin, I need you to understand something. This is not a fairy tale. This is not fiction. What you are about to hear is a folk tale passed down through generations. A story so dark, so disturbing, that entire villages refused to speak its name aloud. The story takes place in a time when gods were not worshipped in temples. They were fed, and the currency they accepted was human flesh. This is the story of the village they called Akodan, the village that smiled at every stranger, because every stranger was already dead.
It began the way all dark stories begin, with a traveler who was simply looking for rest. His name was Kofi, a merchant from the northern lands, carrying goods to sell in the markets of the south. The journey was long. His feet were tired. His water had run dry. And then, through the thick fog of the forest, he saw it. Lights, warm golden lights, flickering like a welcome sign in the darkness. He walked closer. The smell of food filled the air. The sound of laughter echoed through the trees. And at the gate of the village stood a man, smiling the widest smile Kofi had ever seen. "Welcome, traveler," the man said. "You look tired. You look hungry. Come, we have been waiting for someone like you." Kofi thought nothing of those words. He should have. Inside the village, everything seemed perfect. The people were warm. The food was plentiful. The beds were soft. But Kofi noticed something as the night grew darker. Every time he looked at the villagers, they were watching him. Not with kindness, with anticipation.
That night, Kofi could not sleep. Something felt wrong, deeply wrong. He lay in the darkness listening to the village, and that is when he heard it, chanting, low, rhythmic, ancient. He crept from his bed and peered through the window. What he saw would change him forever. In the center of the village burned a massive fire. Around it stood every man, every woman, every child of the village, dressed in ceremonial cloth, faces painted white, eyes closed, swaying together like one single creature. And at the head of the fire stood the same man who had welcomed him at the gate. But he was not smiling now. He was praying. Kofi listened carefully to the ancient words being chanted, and slowly, with growing horror, he began to understand. They were not praying for something. They were praying about someone. They were praying about him. Dramatic music sting. You see, this village had made a covenant with their gods generations ago, a covenant of blood. Their gods had promised them protection, prosperity, power. But the payment was steep. Every new moon, the village was required to offer a sacrifice. Not an animal, not gold, not crops. A stranger. Someone from outside the village. Someone with no family nearby to ask questions. Someone who would simply disappear. And the gods had taught them exactly how to find one. Be so welcoming, so warm, so generous, that no stranger could ever resist walking through their gates. Kofi's heart was pounding. He had to leave. He had to leave now. He quietly gathered his things, moved to the door, opened it slowly, and standing right outside were 3 villagers, waiting, silently, smiling. "Going somewhere, friend?" one of them whispered. Kofi ran. He ran through the village desperately looking for a way out. But every path led back to the center, back to the fire, back to the chanting crowd. It was as if the village itself was alive, turning him around, guiding him back. And then the elder spoke. His voice was calm, almost gentle. "Do not be afraid, traveler. This is an honor. You were chosen. Our gods saw you coming 3 days before you arrived. They called you here. Your death will feed an entire village for another year. Is that not a good life? To feed so many?" Kofi fell to his knees. There was nowhere to run. The entire village had formed a circle around him. The drums grew louder. The chanting grew faster. The fire grew higher. And the elder raised his ancient blade toward the moonlit sky. Sudden silence. Whispered narration. But this story does not end there. Because what the village did not know was that Kofi was not traveling alone. 3 days behind him on the same road was his brother, a warrior, who had noticed his brother's tracks stopped at a village that appeared on no map. A village surrounded by the bones of travelers buried just beneath the forest floor. A village that would never feed its gods again. The village of Akodan was never found again after that night. Some say it was burned to the ground. Some say the gods turned on the villagers when their sacrifice was interrupted. Some say, on certain moonlit nights, deep in the ancient forest, you can still hear the chanting, still see the fire, still smell the food. And if you ever find yourself walking through a dark forest, tired and hungry, and you see warm golden lights flickering in the distance, and a smiling man standing at a gate, telling you he has been waiting for someone like you, keep walking. Whatever you do, keep walking. This has been Dark True Folktale. If this story kept you up at night, smash that subscribe button, because the next story is even darker. Sleep well.